As someone who's reviewed over 200 different types of monitors and would consider themselves as a quite hardcore competitive gamer, I have compiled a list of my favorite gaming monitors that I would personally buy and or would recommend to friends and family. Now down description below you'll find links to my reviews of every monitor in this video, and furthermore you'll find links to purchase it directly from Amazon. It'll go to your localized Amazon store, whereby I'll also earn commission. So to kick off this roundup, I have to start off with the AOC CQ32G1. It's a Full HD 24-inch IPS monitor that runs at 75 Hz. Now it's very much identical to its 144Hz sibling, and indeed here the monitor does well across the board but doesn't get to higher refresh rates. Now if you do want to unlock that 144Hz refresh rate, you're going to have to spend a little bit more and get the AOC 24G2U. Now this monitor does pretty much exactly like its cheaper sibling, but offers a little bit more fluid experience because you're running at 144Hz in comparison to 75Hz. It does well across the board and is one of my favorite budget gaming monitors. Now if you're not too fond of IPS technology and you want some deeper contrast ratios, then you might want to consider the Dell S2721HGF. Now this is a 27-inch Full HD 144Hz monitor that has a 1500R curvature. It's great across the board, and while it's not exactly as tuned for competitive gaming as the AOC monitor that I just referenced, it's a great alternative to those people who just want deeper black levels and indeed consider themselves a little bit more of a casual gamer. Now on the flip side, if you do consider yourself as a hardcore competitive gamer and you also have a little bit of extra budget, you might want to consider the AOC 24G2ZU. Now this is a Full HD 24-inch 240Hz IPS monitor that I would actively recommend. It does well across the board, and for those gamers who want those extra frames, in other words going from 144Hz to 240Hz, the 24G2ZU would be one of my top picks. Now with that said, if you do have a little bit more of a disposable income, you might want to consider the Asus VG279QM. Now this monitor is very much like the AOC monitor, but in my opinion is a slight bit better. Here this monitor has a 27-inch Full HD IPS monitor that runs up to 280Hz. It also has HDR400 certification. The monitor on the whole is just a little bit better than its AOC counterpart and would be my top pick if you want a Full HD 240Hz or above gaming monitor. Now to round off the Full HD monitors, there is the really cute Asus ROG Strix XG16AHP -W if you go for the white model. Now this monitor is a 15.6-inch Full HD 144Hz gaming monitor with an IPS panel. It's absolutely fit for purpose, and if you want something to be taking on the go and you don't mind paying the premium, then this monitor is certainly a gaming monitor that you should consider. Now with Full HD monitors out of the way, we get on to 1440p gaming monitors, where I would deem is the sweet spot for gaming. Now here we have to start off and talk about the Acer Nitro VG271UP. Its sibling, the VG270UP, is also similarly impressive. These monitors run on a 27-inch IPS panel at 144Hz. The VG271UP also has HDR400 certification. They do well across the board, from input lag and response time to the overall color accuracy. Arguably their biggest flaw is their somewhat flimsy stand. Now if you want a little bit more of a solidly built stand and a little bit more of a premium gaming experience, you might want to consider the BenQ EX2780Q. It's a 27-inch 1440p 144Hz IPS monitor, and yet again does well across the board, providing decent color accuracy. Although if you want better sRGB color accuracy, you might want to consider the BenQ Mobius EX2710Q, which is its near identical sibling, apart from the fact that it runs at 165Hz over 144Hz. Both BenQ monitors do well across the board when it comes to gaming, and are monitors that I would actively see myself purchasing and or recommending. Now yet again, if you're not a hardcore competitive gamer and would like to see better contrast levels, you might want to consider a VA panel instead. And here the AOC AOC AG273QX does just that. It's a 27-inch 1440p 165Hz VA monitor with HDR400 certification. It does well across the board for its given price, and frankly is a great monitor for casual gaming. Now if you want a superior gaming experience, specifically when it comes to HDR, you might want to look at the Samsung LHG70 range. They come in different form factors from 27-inch or 32-inch, and here the Samsung monitor offers pretty much all that the AOC monitor does, except comes in at a slight extra premium because of its HDR 600 certification, which is certainly impressive for those people who want to be gaming in HDR. Now if you do want a larger sized VA monitor and don't want HDR 600 certification, you might want to also consider spending a little bit less and therefore getting the AOC CQ32G1. It's a 32-inch 1440p 144Hz VA panel that does well across the board, at least when it comes to casual gaming. Elsewhere, if you want to have a little bit of bettered color accuracy, you might want to consider the Asus ROG Strix XG32VQ, which is similar in terms of specification, but just does better across the board when it comes to color accuracy. So now we enter the realm of 1440p 240Hz gaming monitors, and at the time of filming there's a finite few that I would actually recommend. And let's kick things off and talk about the Samsung Odyssey G7. Its 240Hz 1440p VA curved panel is seriously impressive, and it also has HDR 600 certification. It does well across the board and is arguably one of the best VA panels, at least at its quoted resolution and refresh rate, out there on the market. Now if you do not want a VA or indeed curved panel, you might want to consider the Alienware AW2721D instead. Indeed, this monitor has an IPS panel instead of a VA panel, and also has NVIDIA G-Sync module built in, and therefore will run a little bit better for those people who have NVIDIA graphics cards. Ultimately, the Alienware is a great alternative to the Samsung, but does come in at a little bit of an extra premium. And so now we get onto 4K gaming monitors. Now these do come in at an added premium, specifically if you go for higher refresh rate 4K monitors, and these are monitors that you will want to consider if you have either the budget and or the GPU power. Now to kick off, we have to talk about the MSI Optix MPG321 Curve. This monitor has a 31.5-inch VA panel that runs 4K at 60Hz, making it absolutely ideal for casual 4K gamers and or for those people who are going to be gaming on console. Now past this, if you want a 4K gaming monitor that runs at a higher refresh rate, you might want to consider the AOC U28G2XU. Now this monitor will certainly appeal for PC gamers and not console gamers because it does not have HDMI 2.1. But for PC gamers, this will be of a non-issue because running over DisplayPort, you'll be able to run 4K at 144Hz and therefore also enjoy its IPS panel. Now, if you are a console gamer and you are also potentially a PC gamer, you might want to consider the Asus ROG Swift PG32UQ. Now, this definitely does come in at a premium over the AOC alternative, but this does have the fabled HDMI 2.1 port. And therefore means that you can run 4K at 120Hz on console and up to 144Hz if you're on PC. Its IPS panel does well across the board and is a seriously impressive monitor should you have the budget. Speaking of budgets, and if you do not have one, and furthermore you're a PC gamer and not a console gamer yet again due to the lack of inclusion of an HDMI 2.1 port, you might want to consider the Acer Predator X27. This 27-inch 4K IPS monitor that runs at 144Hz and has G-Sync technology built in is ridiculously impressive when it comes to HDR performance. And here it's because it's got full array local dimming like you'd find on more expensive televisions. And here indeed this Acer monitor does well in this department because it gives you a lifelike HDR experience and one that truly can't be replicated from cheaper monitors. Speaking of televisions, one might mistake the Philips 436 M6 VB PAB as being one. Indeed, other than its ridiculously long name, the 43-inch 4K 60Hz monitor that has HDR 1000 certification and Philips AmbiGlow technology behind it is a monitor that you might want to consider if you want that large size form factor. So finally we get onto ultra-wide gaming monitors, and here it's pretty much ideal if you have the real estate, in other words, to fit it on your desk. Now to kick it off, we have to talk about the AOC CQ32G1. As the name might suggest, it's a 34-inch ultra-wide 1440p gaming monitor that runs a VA panel at 144Hz. It's great for casual gamers out there, but isn't something that I would consider if I was a hardcore competitive gamer. On the flip side, however, if you want something that is a little bit more tuned for competitive gaming, you should look into the Acer Nitro XV340CKP. It is similarly a 34-inch ultra-wide 1440p gaming monitor, but runs on an IPS panel technology instead, and this actually makes it better when it comes to response time and the overall input lag, although it does have a few flaws when it comes to overall color accuracy and also in terms of peak brightness. Now, if a 32 or even 34-inch ultra-wide gaming monitor doesn't quite tickle your fantasies, maybe a 49-inch super ultra-wide might do, maybe paying a little bit more of an extra premium, but the AOC AG273QX does exactly that. 49-inch 1440p 120Hz VA panel with HDR 400 certification, and it also has a built-in KVM switch. It does well across the board, and despite it being a relatively large size monitor, comes in at a relatively affordable price for the type and panel that you are getting. If however you want the best super ultra wide gaming experience, you might want to consider the Samsung Odyssey G9. While it does come in at an added premium over the AOC that I just mentioned, it does offer a 49-inch 1440p form factor that runs at 240Hz. This makes it seriously impressive for higher paced games, or indeed for those people who want to benefit from that higher refresh rate at that resolution and of course of that form factor. So there we have it. Hopefully this video has been helpful and has given you my own personal recommendations. Down description below, as I did mention, you can find all my reviews and indeed purchase them directly from your localized Amazon store. And also down there you'll find some explainer videos which go through some monitor technologies that you might be curious about. So for example, knowing what refresh rate or resolution you can run if you're a PC, laptop, or for example console gamer. These videos will serve to be quite handy knowing as to which monitor to actually choose. Now other than that, if you've enjoyed this video, definitely do drop a like, subscribe and hit that bell notification, all of which would be greatly appreciated. As such, I'll hopefully see you in the next review. Take care of yourselves and goodbye.